Welcome back. Yesterday, we explored the fundamental distinction between grace and works in our salvation. Today, we're focusing on how grace transforms our daily experience as believers, moving beyond grace as a theological concept to grace as lived reality that reshapes every aspect of life. In 2 Corinthians 12:9, Paul says, "My grace is sufficient for you. My power is made perfect in weakness." This remarkable statement reveals that God's grace isn't just for our initial salvation, but it continues as the source of our daily Christian life, especially in our areas of weakness and struggle. Think about the difference between a battery-powered device and one plugged into the electrical grid. The battery-powered device runs on stored energy that eventually depletes, requiring constant recharging. The plugged-in device draws continuous power from an inexhaustible source. Many Christians live life battery-powered, running on their own limited strength when God invites us to stay connected to His unlimited grace. So, how does grace transform daily life? First, grace provides daily assurance. Romans 8:1 declares, "Therefore, there is no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus." Unlike performance-based systems where acceptance fluctuates with our behavior, grace assures us that God's unchanging love, regardless of our spiritual hang-ups and letdowns. This security frees us from anxiety about our standing with God. Second, grace enables growth through failure. In a works-based mindset, failure is devastating because it threatens our relationship with God. But in a grace paradigm, failure becomes opportunities for growth. When Peter denied Christ and later experienced restoration, he learned the depth of grace in a way success could never have taught him. Our failures, met by grace, often produce more spiritual growth than our successes. Third, grace empowers obedience. Titus 2:11 and 12 reveals the grace of God teaches us to say no to ungodliness. Rather than promoting license to sin, true grace provides the desire and power to obey God, not from fear or obligation, but from gratitude and love. We serve not to gain God's approval, but because we already have it. Fourth, grace transforms relationships. Matthew 10:8 instructs, "Freely you have received, freely give." As we experience God's unmerited favor, we become more gracious toward others, more forgiving, more patient, more generous. Grace received vertically from God flows horizontally to others, breaking cycles of judgment, performance demands, and conditional acceptance. Fifth, grace provides strength in suffering. Through Paul's thorn in the flesh, he discovered that grace isn't just for good times, but especially for hard times. In our weakest moments, grace manifests most powerfully, enabling us to endure what we couldn't in our own strength. Suffering often becomes the classroom where we learn grace most deeply. This week, practice living consciously in grace. Begin each day acknowledging your complete acceptance in Christ, apart from performance. When you fail or you sin, run to God rather than from Him, confessing quickly and receiving His ready forgiveness. In your interactions with others, look for opportunities to extend the same grace you've received. In challenges, pray specifically for grace sufficient for that situation, recognizing your weakness as a stage for God's power. Consider keeping a grace journal where your daily record of experiences of God's grace, moments of undeserved favor and strength, beyond your capabilities, forgiveness received and extended, or beauty in unexpected places. This practice, writing these things down, trains your eyes to recognize grace at work in ordinary circumstances. Remember, grace isn't opposed to effort, but to earning. Living in grace doesn't mean passive inactivity, but active dependence, working energetically while relying completely on God's strength rather than your own. As you practice conscious dependence on grace, you'll increasingly experience Christianity not as burdensome religion, but as life-giving relationship that God intended.